Legendary Podcast. Legendary Podcast. Legendary Podcast. Legendary Podcast. You ain't ready. You ready? You ain't ready.
Ready for say ready.
You ain't ready.
Ready for say
Ready. Legendary Podcast. What up, young world? What is up, young world? Please help me welcome to the SevonsLegendary Podcast. NCAA champion, Kentucky Wildcats, hint, hint. NBA, former NBA player, played for two of my favorite teams, Detroit Pistons and the Golden State Warriors. Yeah, I did my homework, nigga. Please help me welcome my brother from another mother, Mr. Tony Delk. Make a lot of noise in here.
Hey, my man. What's going on, brother? What's going on? I love the introduction, man. Appreciate you showing so much love. You are my guy, my dude.
Yes, we go back, man. You know, speaking of going back, watch this. You know, it's funny because people, I'm connected. I got friends in such different sectors. People would never connect, even though I played basketball. People would never connect me and Tony. Because I'm going to tell you, Tony, I might have told you this when we first met. I don't remember. But I've been a fan of yours. Like,
yeah, I think you did, man.
man, listen. And if I wasn't, listen, it was a good thing I was a fan. Because when me and you first played together, and you was destroying me, listen, I don't get destroyed, okay? I don't get destroyed. I am not the only one that don't want no parts of Tony Delk. That is a fact.
It was never personal, though, man. You know, hey, when I stepped between those lines, I think I learned early from my brother who used to beat me down, you know, for years, man. And I finally had to figure out, like, you know, when you have older siblings, especially brothers who play college basketball, they taught me so much. And what they taught me was, although we're brothers, when we step between the lines, we're enemies. Like, I don't know you. And so my mindset had to change. And I was like, man, my brothers, they're never gonna let me win. But the whole goal was, it's like, we're gonna make you better, but we're not gonna make you better if we allow you to beat me. So every time I stepped on the court, I always saw it as like, you know what? My brothers are out here and I got to beat them dudes. You know, so when you have those siblings that have played the game, and what they did was they poured all the knowledge into their little brother. And, you know, I'm so grateful to this day, you know, for what my brothers did for me, and just, you know, teaching me the fundamentals, but getting me mentally prepared for, you know, for high school, for college. And even though they never made it to the NBA, you know, they understood what it was going to take to get there.
Man, listen, I ain't have no other brothers. I had an older sister, and I still don't talk to her. So, but going back just a little bit, because like I said, I don't have a whole bunch of time with you in this. Man, I can sit there and talk to you. Know we can talk about 2 hours.
Oh yeah, easy. Man, we can get it done. We can get it done.
So watch this. For the viewers who see me and you, we laughing. They don't know we've been friends, but I'm gonna take them back to how we met. And you know a little bit of backstory. And I ain't gonna get too detailed. You understand? But I'm gonna try to wrap this up and put it in a nutshell. So there was back in Michigan a young lady that I met at a Houston Rockets game. Okay, I took my son there, and you might not know this, Tony. I took my son there for the first time to take him to his first NBA game, and how I got floor seats was I was friends with Rafe Austin. Skip to my Lou for the people that know the street ball. So Skip was my man. So he was like, yeah, we're playing Detroit. I'll give you tickets. I was like, bad, I could take my son. So we're on the floor. And this woman was something to look at. She was outstanding. And she had 2 twin daughters.
Oh my God.
And she was sitting. Hey, y'all, look at Tony. Look at Tony. So she had 2 twin daughters, beautiful little girls. And my son was on my left side, and then it was her 2 daughters, and then her. And the girls kept like whispering and looked like they were talking about my son, and my son was so I thought my son was kind of flirting a little bit. So I was like, oh, shit, that might be my icebreaker for a conversation. Like, Marco, come on, man, stop flirting with the girls on there. By the way, no, so you know, we have small talk, whatever. Game is over. You know, we walk, you know, kind of on the court, you know, and we wait for him to come out. So Rafe came out. I introduced my son to him. My son's all excited in this. She was waiting for a gentleman she was dating at the time by the name of Dikembe Mutombo. Now, so, you know, when you got those kind of seats, you know, just normally just don't know anybody get those type of seats. You know, they got to be probably someone or something in that. Got to
be connected. Yeah,
you got to be connected. You have, yeah. So once we found out why we were there, you know, and we kind of exchanged numbers. Long story short, fast forward, I go visit her one day. Sure as I'm dark skinned, she got a picture of her and Tony Delk framed by itself. Now, mind you, hey y'all, I didn't know Tony at this. I'm still in Detroit. So I'm like, hey, that's you know Tony Delk? Like, I recognize you immediately, you know. And she's like, oh yeah, we were friends. Yeah. I said, okay, all right. So fast forward, I moved to Atlanta, and I think it's probably 07 or 08. It was probably 08, Tony. And Tony, I go into this club I'd never been to called Tongue and Groove.
Oh, yes.
Tony was against the wall. Now, y'all got to, Tony got long arms. He's taller than the average bear. I mean, he's built like an athlete, just period. So he's leaning on the wall by himself. No drink in his hand, because he doesn't drink. I didn't know that at the time.
Right.
And so I said, damn, that's Tony Delk. I'm a fan of his. And we seem to have someone else in common. So y'all watch this. I walk up to Tony. I say, hey, man. I don't say my name. I don't ask him his name. I walk. Tony, you remember? I walk up to Tony. Tony just leaning on the wall. I walk up to him. I'll be like, you ain't gonna believe who we got in common.
Who we got in common. Yeah.
And Tony was like, he was cool as hell. He was like, where? Who? And so I tell him, and he was like, oh man, hell no. He was like, we should take a picture and send it to her. I was like, I said that. Tony's like, nah, let's not do her like that. Let's not do that.
But you know what, like I said, it's such a small world, but it's so funny that when you meet someone, and you know, with us being dark-skinned brothers, but we have great taste in what we like. So, you know, when you go out, and I mean, it's so many beautiful women out there in the world. And not to say we out there trying to get everyone, but you know, you have a connection. And a lot of the connection comes when you conversate with people, and you have a great conversation. So it's so different now when, you know, you meet someone and it's more about the texting. But back during that time, you had to have some game. You had to come up to a young lady, and you had to have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? It couldn't be like, hey, let me text you right fast. She was like, no, you got to get to know me, you know, from inside. But, you know, I think what made our friendship a good, cool relationship was that, you know, we both were humble. And I think you know me very well. To me making it to the NBA, being a star player in Kentucky, like, it never really changed me. They always said when people make money, it heightens who they really are. But I was always humble. You know, I always was humble, and I always loved sharing, you know, and putting people in a position where I can help them out. And that's the thing I do now with my basketball academy, is that I try to make sure I give the knowledge to the young kids, you know, and teach them, like, listen, take this wisdom and take it home, take notes. But in order to be a great player, a great artist, you know, a politician, whatever you decide to do in life, you got to give it 100%.
That is a fact.
You know, when you give it 100%, you know, there is no looking back saying, gosh, you know, I wish I had done this. And also what I found out too, Savon, is that you got to be able to take a risk. You got to take some risks where nobody might not believe in what you're doing. They might be like, man, that sounds like a bad idea. But if you slept on it, think about this. If you slept on it, you prayed about it, you believe it, I truly think it can happen, man. Like, because coming from a small town in Brownsville, Tennessee of about 8,000 people, is you never think you're going to come from that little town and make it to the NBA. You know what I'm saying? So it was, when I tell people about my dream, I said, man, you know what? I thought I knew I was good, but I didn't know how good I was until I started playing with city guys to be able to be like, man, this country boy can play basketball. I said, dude, that's all we do in the country. I didn't have any distractions. So when I talk to kids and I see them now, I say, you know, y'all kids are faced with a lot more distraction than we ever had. You know what I'm saying? So you can lose focus quickly. But also going back to women was that basketball was my girlfriend. Like basketball, I knew was going to get me to college because we didn't have any money. My parents, we were on welfare and we didn't have a car. So when I say we grew up poor, dude, we lived off of like $500 a month.
How much?
$500 a month. My mom, and think about this, my mom and dad couldn't drive. So we didn't have a car growing up. So everything was us walking or me getting on the bike, going to the grocery store, knocking on some neighbor's door, they taking us to the grocery store. And so, you know, when I tell people, I say, you don't know poor until you actually witness it as a kid. You know what I'm saying? And of course, my daughters have never seen it, but when I took my daughters back to my hometown, I'm like, this is where it all started for me. You know, they were like, Daddy, what are you? I'm like, listen, this house that, you know, that's probably 60, 70 years old right now, we had like, you know, my dad and I, we shared a room. It wasn't like I never had my own bedroom growing up. Dude, listen, man, it's real, but nobody really knows my story. They just think, okay, you made it to Kentucky. I'm like, no, dude, it was a lot of work, but also just being, you know, that's where the love was at, you know, having parents that had been married at that time. You know, my parents are deceased now, but they were married for over 50 years. And 7 siblings, you know, just from the old school. You know, mom had to be home before the street light came on. I had a curfew.
Get your ass. I bet your ass in the house. Street lights come on. I'll tell you that.
Hey, you already know I'm on my bike pedaling like 100 miles per hour trying to get home. You know what I'm saying? but also having older siblings, like my mom and dad were cool. You know, so it's different where you grow up with a parent that's in their 30s. You know, because they're still enjoying life. They're still trying to get out and have fun. They don't know who they are, you know? So even as I tell my kids who are, you know, I have 2 teenagers and then a 23-year-old daughter, is enjoy your 20s. Your 20s are time to make mistakes, find out who you are, and don't go out and get married, you know, before you have kids. Man, enjoy who you are.
Would you please say that again? Please say that again. These youngsters, I know some youngsters. If you're watching this, I know you about to get married. I told you don't do it. Tony say don't do it. Listen, watch this. Watch this. 19, 20 years old. Not even in their 20s. Nah. You got too much, because here's the thing. You don't know who you are. So I tell my daughter, I said, you still trying to find out who you are. You just recently got out of college. I say enjoy the freedom that you have, not to have kids, not to have, you know, someone that you have to come on to. I say women now are more than, you know, they're so independent now. Like I love independent women. And when I see them, I'm just like, I commend them, you know, for not looking for a man to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can do this on your own. You know, you got to figure it out. And of course, when time comes, you're going to have a mate. But if you can be independent and you can kind of figure out how things work out there in the real world, and when you do find a man, you bringing something to the table. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm relying on his salary, but I know I know my value. Like I tell my daughter, don't devalue yourself. Yeah, I preach that all the time, TD. I said it in I did a podcast when I was in Miami on the topic of what beauty is, right? And in that, I just, in a nutshell, said, beauty to me is giving me something or bringing something to the table that don't bring me no ass and you can go buy that. I can go buy everybody got that. That's very commonplace. Right. But what's not so commonplace is a confidence and a work ethic in yourself to know that when you with somebody, you're stronger if both people bring something different and valuable. Don't just bring something to the table and it don't be, you got to have value too. You said, well, you got to be an asset. I could do that. That. But I think you have to, when we look at asset and liability, and I had to learn this as you know, of course, when I got to college, you know, because when you have parents that don't have anything, they're not saving for anything, and they can't really teach you about finance. You know what I'm saying? So
lot of my lessons were in college, and of course when I made the NBA and I remember getting my first paycheck, I was like, oh my God, like when you look at that.
Oh my God.
Hey, listen, man. Hey, when I got the first paycheck, like it wasn't even real, you know what I'm saying? Because when I never worked in college, so my first real job where I made money was my first NBA check. And I'm not gonna lie, I think it was about maybe the first check might have been like $60,000 or $70,000. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh man, I'm like, dude, what am I gonna do with this? You know what I'm saying? But let me rewind. Hey, but listen, but let me rewind. Let me rewind to let you know how country I was. So in Kentucky, when you finish playing basketball there, you go around and I call it barnstorming. So you go around and to these small towns and you sign autographs and sell T-shirts and you play games, with your other guys who graduated. So I must have had, like when I was in my dorm, it's called Wildcat Lodge. I had two garbage bags filled to the top with money, like cash, right? So I'm like, man, I didn't have a financial guy. So all my money was in this dorm room. And he was like, I said, listen, man, I barnstormed for like maybe 2 or 3 months, right? So I got all this cash. I'm just like, come after game T-shirt, I'm putting all this money in his trash bag, right? So, when you're old school, we didn't really trust the banks with our money. So I'm like my mom and dad, so I got all my money with me. And I was like, hey, I got all this money. I said, now, I got to figure out what to do with it. He was like, you got to put that money in the bank. I'm like, hold on. I got to put all this money in the bank. Like, I don't trust the bank. You know what I'm saying? Because my parents, they told me, do not ever trust the bank. Because they didn't have any money put in the bank. So how can you trust something that you never even used? So long story short, I ended up having to put all that money in the bank. So that's when I had to learn how to write a check, balance a checkbook. But, like you said, when you have parents that, I had unbelievable parents, don't get me wrong. They knew what they knew. You know what I'm saying? Right. You can't make somebody know something they don't know. Right. But when I tell you like love and respect and keeping me humble, focused and telling me you got to have a higher power you believe in. And my 4 F's, and I tell kids this, would be family, faith first, faith, family, friends, and then stay focused. You got to stay focused, man. Got to stay
without
focused.
All those other ones crumble.
You already know.
Without faith and focus, that's the beginning of the end. Some people call that the Alpha and Omega. See how that works? Yeah, that's so crazy because you went to Haywood High School, right?
Right.
To come from 8,000 people, it's more than that in IKEA at one point at the same time. And to come from that, I remember you was picking me up in the S550. Remember? Yes. We were rolling out. You come picking me up. We've been in the S550.
I already know.
I was like, okay, you inspired me to go get my little E class. You inspired me to go get my little E class. So
hey, say what?
I wanna. Go ahead.
No, what's so funny is, even when I left high school and I went to Kentucky, and a lot of people know this too, is that after about 4 games, I was ready to transfer out. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't playing a lot, and coach wasn't like, allowing me to play my game. He really was like Jamal Mashburn was a dude. Like, and I tell you, like, had game, that big dude could play, man. So everything was kind of centered around him. So although we had the best recruiting class, everything went through Mash. Mash was going hardship that year. And I remember I'm sitting back. So Billy Donovan was the one that brought me to Kentucky. He recruited me from my little small town. He would fly from Lexington to Brownsville. He would to Memphis and then drive an hour and watch me play. Sometimes he would drive from Lexington to Brownsville. So, he was the reason why I really stayed at Kentucky, because he was like, Tony, Coach Pitino has a plan for you. But when you one of the top players in the country and you're not playing, it's hard to watch your peers play. Like it was difficult watching the guys I came in with, some of the guys that went to other schools, knowing that I was one of the top players in the country, and dude, I'm riding the pine. I'm like just watching. I'm like, dude, I'm not enjoying this. So I remember having a conversation. I told Coach Pitino, I'm like, listen, man, I want to transfer out of here. He was like shocked. I'm like, dude, I'm not playing. And long story short, he was like, if you stay, I'm not gonna recruit anybody that's at your position. But that's what they say to keep you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, man. I said I don't really see myself staying here. But But also I knew I had to grow up. You know what I'm saying? It was me being everything was, not to say everything was given to me. I earned what I got, from my
Right.
smaller town. And I'm like, you can't say it was given to me with what, the situation I grew up in. I'm like, nothing was given to me, but I felt like I should have been playing. So anyway, just going back to that year. And I told kids, I said, you're going to have some trials and tribulations. I said, you might not make a team, but what kind of drive and motivation do you have within you? I said, because you can't lie. You can lie to your mom. You can lie to coaches. You can lie to teachers. You can't lie to yourself. Nope.
So it sounds to me like you had a whole lot of loving support, but you still, even in spite of those things, you still had to find the wherewithal and the persistence in yourself, along with some time and maturity, to be able to find out understand a little bit better who you are going forward. Now, I want to pivot real quick because there's something that I want to touch on. See, a couple of years ago, this is pre-pandemic, we had all the Black Lives Matter and I Can't Breathe shirts back when LeBron and then was wearing the T-shirts to games. One thing that I commend Adam Silver and the previous NBA commissioner with, they supported the NBA players in their social and political stances. Now,
absolutely,
you being in the NBA 10 plus seasons, was it as supportive then, or was it, or did they have to like go through racism? Because like we talked on the phone, back in the days of Bill Russell, and it was racism everywhere. I think, wasn't Bill Russell the first African-American NBA player?
I think there was someone else, but he was right there though.
He was in that era.
Yeah,
okay, so
in the era.
I mean, obviously, Red Auerbach had his hands full recruiting Black athletes and paying them, what they was getting paid. So how far do you think the NBA has come from dealing with social injustices and allowing their players to express that or not?
I think what it's done is giving us a voice. I don't think we always had a platform. I think David Stern did a phenomenal job of making it a global international game, and he also allowed the league to grow. But he had to come in and be, not really be a dictator, but he had to make sure the league was structured in the right way and guys were disciplined, because the only way it was going to grow and you was going to bring corporate America in, they had to see that there was something good. It was a good product. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to put a good product, and it has to be, the entertainment is going to be there. But now it's like, okay, I got to make sure it's a good product. And how can I sell this product if our guys are doing drugs or, are alcoholic, drinking, out in clubs.
Yeah, man, you can't be drinking, man.
No. Can't be drinking on the job. You know what I'm saying? But I think what he did is that he understood, like he talked to players, so even though he wasn't Black, he just allowed us to have a voice, but also you got to have conversation as a white man with Black men and kind of see where we come from. I'm saying you can't go back to the neighborhood that we came from, but what you can do is you can sit down and talk to us and speak with us, and we can kind of tell you what helps us, what are we looking for, what needs what needs are going to benefit us? You know what I'm saying? Because now it's not always about the money, although you need money to survive, but it's like giving us a situation where we can be able to feed our kids and their kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want generational money. Like, that's what these players have that we didn't have a chance to do. Like, we were able to take care of our immediate family, but some of these guys are getting generational money, which whoever would have thought that, the NBA would be paying a guy like $45, $50 million. Whoever would have thought that?
Well, let me ask you this. Just me playing devil's advocate, okay? Do you think that that's because the commissioner and the rest of the executive offices of the NBA genuinely cared, or they understood the power of the minority dollar? Now, I just don't mean Black folks, okay? Because we're talking, NBA is obviously global now.
Yes.
But people don't understand, it wasn't always a global sport. And,
it wasn't.
Sidebar, which I need you to answer, how the hell dream team didn't have Isaiah Thomas on it, number 1 point guard in the league. But that's something else. Sorry, that's something else. Y'all stop calling me. Okay, so but that's a whole nother topic. But they're looking and saying the NBA, people don't even realize it was predominantly white moons ago. It was predominantly. Yes. I'm sorry, ESPN, TNT. Listen, Charles Barkley, Shaq, y'all my guys. Listen, man, I wouldn't watch it. Y'all, the ratings would be plummeting. All white guys playing basketball?
Yes, it would.
But if that's all they knew at the time, everything was all white as far as on television, back then.
Well, somebody had to break the color barrier, even from, if you look at baseball, like the basketball, all these sports, and even the entertainment, where you got to look at some of the Hollywood actors and actors that, they had to break the color barrier. You know what I'm saying? Where, man, like, who was the first? It's the first is going to get it the worst. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's like, this is what people really think. You know what I'm saying? And that's where when we look at social media right now and some of the trolls and some of the things that people say, and people can hide behind who they really are. You know what I'm saying? But when the truth comes out, like, you'll be amazed at some of the people who are racist, and you'd be like, wow, I never thought that, but I think during the George Floyd, like you have to be empathetic to what was going on. Like, there has to be some empathy and people who might have been racist, to say, wow, just what happened to him shouldn't happen to no human being. You know what I'm saying? And
regardless
even
of
if
race or anything, that's right.
It doesn't matter about the race. And what I tell people, I'm like, in this country, like, as a Black man, and even going back 3 and 4 years, like, we didn't do anything to white people. You got to understand. Like, it's like they're mad at us for what? We were brought here. We didn't do anything wrong. We came over, we worked hard, and, we did what we had to do in order to take care of our family. But the racism, I don't know where the racism started when, you bring these Black people from a whole different country and you bring them here and we work for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're paying us nothing. We basically working for free. We working for food and shelter, but you dislike us. So that's what I couldn't, even growing up in a town that was segregated, was I couldn't figure it out. My parents never discussed it. My parents never said anything about white people. So it was never any frustration or hurt in my heart towards white people because they would, like, treat people equally. That's all we look for. You treat people the way you want to be treated. So even in that small town, I can't tell you how many white houses that I went to and played basketball with kids. And, I didn't care about going to your house because my mom didn't want me to go in your house anyway. She was like, don't go in people's homes. Don't eat their food. And nobody can spend the night. So I already knew the rule when I left the house. So even though I might have been at somebody's White House playing basketball, I didn't care if you didn't invite me in. Because I wasn't going to your house anyway. Because my mom found out, you already know I was getting a whooping.
Black mamas, I know y'all watching. Black mamas, stop beating us. Stop beating us. Because after y'all get done and we turn out to be great human beings.
Right.
When we have kids, we beat them. Okay. It's a beating lineage. It's an ass whooping lineage. Please. Now hold on. Now watch this. Now I'm gonna stop.
That's funny.
We got about 20 minutes most, 15 minutes most. Okay, so watch this. When you said, hey, you steal Black people, most of us was stolen, okay, when we came over here. Some of us was bartered away by Africans. Like African tribes was part of it too, but they were the minority share owners of the process. Now watch this. And you say, well, we never did anything to white people. Why are they mad at us? I forget her name, but it's older white female, wear glasses, she's short, she's older, and she teaches seminars, and she's been on Oprah many times, and she speaks on it, and she's white, and she gives white people a Black experience so they can be more introduced to an empathetic point of view when it comes to Black people, right? So watch this. What she says is, you can boil it down to one word: guilt.
Oh,
guilt.
Wow.
That's like the man within a monogamous relationship. Notice I said monogamous because every relationship is not monogamous. getting caught cheating. And now he spin it on her. He mad that she found out. Does that make you see? You see, that's so.
Yes.
It's that guilt thing. It's that guilt thing, and I seriously believe that a lot of white folks understand what has happened. Now, what do most of them say? And they, I got plenty. Both of us, we got plenty of Asian and Black and everybody.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right? So watch this. They'll say, Vaughn, why do you talk about these things? You were never a slave. I was never a slave owner, and I don't want to be. But the thing that, and we're gonna go back to something else after this. But the thing, white folks, listen. You're reaping your kids, your parents, and your grandparents
Benefits.
are reaping the benefits. Now watch this. It's twofold. It's two-sided. You're reaping the benefits of owning slaves. Okay.
Right.
People say, well, that's indirect.
Or owning land.
Well, listen.
We have no land in this country.
But you gotta understand something, Tony. You can't own no land unless you got money.
Yes.
Land wasn't cheap back then either. It was comparable, but you still had to have money. How they get money? You see what I'm saying? You still had to, put it like this, almost nobody just worked their butt off back then, and you're white, and just owned 250 acres. Right. You just work hard and buy that. Because people don't know, slaves were the price of cars. You had to have money to have a slave. Yeah. You had to have money. So they had money back then. So what happens? They will the land, someone passes and they will the land of their kids or their grandkids or whatever. And now you start off, man, I wish I start off with 250 acres and 2 homes. I would probably be right now. So that's one half. The second half is just like white folks are reaping the benefits of that time in that era, Black folks are still in a certain we're in a negative because of that same time too. So you're not, neither one of us are at zero. White folks are beyond zero and we're under zero based off that time. So that's why the gap is so far apart. Now, I want to talk about, do you still deal with Dunkin' Donuts?
No. I left them years ago. I really didn't have a whole lot of involvement with them. It's funny because I grew up I like Krispy Kreme, so I wasn't if I'm investing in something.
Tony wants to get involved with some Krispy Shack Diesel.
No. Let me tell you the best donuts I've had. It's out in LA called Sidecar Donuts. So when I tell you I love donuts, but that's next level. But probably in the early 90s, probably late 90s was when I thought Krispy Kreme, would have been a really good investment, which it would have been. It would have been then, especially it hadn't gone out west yet. So I knew I'm people like sweets. We love sweets, you know what I'm saying? So when you find a good sweet and a franchise, and we see all these franchises, how they're able to grow, and it's I hear that there's no money in restaurants, but I'm like, well, how is Chick-fil-A and McDonald's and Burger King and it's so many of these franchises? I'm like, they're making billions of dollars, but it's a bad investment. I'm like, who's telling us it's a bad investment? But I think when you understand, you got to be in that circle to know what's going on. It's right now, this generation is more tech savvy than we've ever been. But tech money has taken the economy to a whole nother level. But really, it's being able to be an older man and share the knowledge that we have with the younger generation and try to get them to understand. The quicker you understand this, what we know, and like I said, we had to learn this on the fly. It wasn't like we was born in middle class, wealthy, or rich. So we had to learn in our 20s, and some of this in our 30s. And I'm still learning stuff in my 40s. I'm like, man, what if I had my brain 20 years ago with what I know now? And of course, God doesn't bless us like that. It's I got to give you wisdom in decades, in dose. I can't give it all to you at once because, you'll stop learning. But what we're talking about is more about how can we help our younger generation, not only Blacks, whites, women, men, is the different genders, transgender, it doesn't matter. We just want to share our knowledge with everyone who's listening and who's trying to get to a certain place economically, because you want to be in a position where you're not going and working paycheck to paycheck. Like, I know how my parents grew up, and I know a lot of my friends' parents, how they grew up, and it's living check to check where you don't have a savings. It's not about how much money you make, it's how much money you save.
It's how much money you keep.
Yes.
So watch this. At the highest peak, how many of those franchises were you involved with?
I was involved with at least, maybe like 4 or 5. Papa John was probably the biggest one that I was involved with early on.
Yeah, I didn't even know you was with Papa John's.
Right. I did Papa John's early. Papa John's, I got into this car. It was Toyota factory making car bumpers, and got into had a building that I put some money up in, which I'm still getting paid from to this day. But just having a good financial guy, that kind of taught me the game slowly, but understanding what I need to do to secure my my career after basketball. I think a lot of times, when you're in your 20s, you think this thing, you're going to do this thing forever. You're like, I don't play basketball for 20, 30 years. And it ends for all of us. But it's like, where do you financially start putting yourself in position? Because you got to understand, that's a lottery ticket. From 10 years, you get a lot of your money. You get the majority of your money is in that 10-year period. You know what I'm saying? And everything after, if you invest accordingly, you still can make money. I mean, a number of NBA guys who are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I was just having a conversation with someone probably 2 days ago about Vinny Johnson. I was like, man, Vinny Johnson net worth, the microwave, $400 million, but he hit the ticket at the right time. It's kind of like Junior Bridgman. Junior Bridgman was a hell of a player. If you look at his stats, you'd be like, man, Junior Bridgman, they look at him, owning the Wendy's and all the different restaurants. I said, but Junior was a hell of a player. But Junior got in the right circle, and they allowed him to be in the circle and say, hey, we're going to teach you this game. And they taught him the game, and the rest is history. So you look at two guys that didn't make a lot of money as players, but are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But, they were definitely taught the game. So now for them, how can they share that with other minorities? It's like, okay, somebody had to share it with them. No one became rich by themselves.
Right.
Everybody needs help.
That's a fact. That is a fact. So watch this. I know I keep pivoting, but I ain't got that much time with Tony, man. We need 2.5 hours. Let me see. So I want to play a game with you. And the game is, I'm going to say a player, and you got to give me the first word. You game for this? It's okay?
I got you, man. Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to start up. So I'm going to make this as quick as I can, okay? Shaquille O'Neal.
Dominant.
Reggie Miller.
It's going to be 2 words. Great shooter.
Steph Curry.
Wow. 2 words. Fundamentally sound.
Dirk Nowitzki.
First big man, I had to go in. I mean, I played with Dirk, so Dirk was a unique player. You know what? I would say unique. That'll be my word for Dirk. Unique. 7-footer, a 7-footer that can shoot threes.
He was the first one.
Can handle. First one, yeah. He was unique. He what they call him now a unicorn. So I would say he was unique.
Okay. I got 3 more. 4 more. Dennis Rodman.
Energy.
Charles Barkley.
He was, I would say Charles was a force.
Force. I'll go with force. I got two more. Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Full government.
I would say greatness.
What else really can you say, really?
That's it.
Greatness. Okay, I got one more for you. Tony Delk.
Wow. I would say, if I had to say Tony Delk, I would say confident. I was confident. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew who I was, and I was confident in my skin, but I was a star in my role.
See, this is where I cue the music, because we both dark skinned. Some say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Some say the darker. Black, dark skinned men, we still in style.
We still in, man. We still in style. We still doing this thing.
Okay? Ain't nothing like a confident Black man trying to make something of himself. All you dark skinned men, listen, high school, I got bullied. I got Blackie this, you so black.
Oh, man, you know,
man,
black
listen.
Jokes, man. Hey,
what?
Put it like this. What black joke had you had? Like I say, like, I became immune to the black joke. Like, oh, that's so okay. I've heard that before, man. You got to tell. Like, I tell kids
like,
this. That's
all you said about me last week. Come on, you got to be more creative.
That's what I tell kids about making mistakes. I said, don't make the same mistake. Make a new mistake I haven't seen. It's just like with a joke. I've heard that joke before. Like, okay, it might make them laugh, but when you like I was confident, I'm like, listen, I don't care what you say, dude. When I step on that court, I'm a monster. And you're gonna be a fan, and you're gonna be a fan. You know what I'm saying? Like you might not want to be a fan, you might be over there hating, but I'm like, somebody in your crew like me. Don't get that twisted.
Somebody in your crew.
Somebody in your crew. Exactly.
See, I'm gonna tell y'all, listen, all the viewers, listen, man, all the listeners on Apple and iHeart and all that, listen, y'all. I had the pleasure of playing with Tony on a few occasions. And I'm telling y'all right now, there's a reason why this man was in the NBA for as long as he was. And I don't give a damn what nobody say. I'ma still say your whole career, you were underrated. Whole career.
I was, and I could have done them. Here's the thing too, Savon. I could have done a lot more, but I think I stated it best, man. I was comfortable in my skin, and I knew what I could do. I knew I was a gifted and talented scorer, and I wasn't always able to do it in different teams that I played on. And I was, so to get traded so much is like, dang, I didn't have the stability that I once had, in high school at Kentucky. Because even going back to what I was saying earlier about me not starting as a freshman and not getting playing time and getting ready to transfer, well, I led the team in scoring the next 3 years. So I didn't just fall off the map 1 year and then, okay, I come back and I know how to play basketball. I'm like, I was always, God blessed me with the ability to score. And it was just that, when you go to different teams that already have franchise players, you really just got to find your role, man, and be, like I said, I was comfortable, man. I know I could have done a lot more, but I really wasn't tripping.
These people don't even know you scored, 53, 54 points and went in the NBA, y'all. Hold on, man. Listen, I go up to the park, up the street, and we go to 15. And I got trouble getting 8 of them hoes. Tony scored, what was it, 50? What was it, Tom?
53.
53 in one NBA game. Man, listen.
But in a different game than it is today, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a much physical. The game was physical.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how.
Yeah.
That's Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant-esque, Shaq-esque. You know what I'm saying? So,
and
we got about 2 minutes, Tom. What I want to do.
Savon, some people some people thought it was like, oh, well, that was a fluke. I'm like, nah, you know what? I could always score. It was just that particular game with my man JK, he was just, but it wasn't, that 53 was in the rhythm of the game. It wasn't like he was just coming down, I'm getting 25, 30 shots, like we've seen players that do get the 50 and 60. I got mine, it was a pass to Sean Marion, pass to Cliff Robinson, Rodney Rogers. It was in the flow of the game, so
Rodney Rogers, underrated player.
Debo, you call Rodney Debo. Yeah, he was. You know what?
I'm gonna put a picture of Debo right here. Bam.
Yeah, Debo was underrated too. You know what I'm saying? So we know the underrated players, man. But at the end of the day, it was we love basketball. We enjoyed playing it, and whether we got credit or not, we knew who we were as players.
I mean, oh man, I love talking to you, TD. I love talking to you. Now watch this. We gonna end this with, for all my people in Atlanta and the surrounding areas, please pay attention to this part. If you have a son or daughter that's interested in getting better at basketball by a complete basketball veteran, Tony, please quickly break down your academy, how people can get involved.
How you can find us, TonyDelk.com. You can go to training. You can go look at our calendar, and it'll show you the days of the week that we train. Right now, I have two teams. I have a 4th grade and a 6th grade fall league team, and we're getting ready for tryouts. 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th and 8th grade, November 7th. Tryouts start at 2:30 with our young kids, 3rd and 4th grade. Then we go at 5, 4th and 5th grade. Then 6, we have our middle school training. So if you have a kid that's interested in training, boys right now, we did girls this summer, but I do still invite girls to come out and do the weekly training, and we only charge $200 a month. That training is Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday. No, it's nothing, man. Nothing for getting a chance to come in the gym and work on your craft. So, for all the listeners, TonyDelk.com, look us up. Like I said, we're doing it at the Salvation Army, 202 Waterman Street in Marietta, Georgia. Come and be a fan. Not only a fan, but come and bring your kid and see them improve and develop. We're all about the skill development over here.
Now, are you TonyDelk.com?
Yes.
Everybody go there. I'm telling you right now, man, when I was coming up playing basketball, and I played at 2 universities, I played in the CBA. If you want training from a professional standpoint, this is a great opportunity. Now, are you going to be signing autographs after it's home? Because I might want one. I don't know.
Listen, these kids don't know who I am. They would have to Google me.
They parents. That's what I'm talking about. Shit. Them parents be fans after they get done. They be like, "Hey, Tony, man, I'm a fan of you in Kentucky." But I'll be seeing them, dog. I'll be seeing them, baby. Okay.
On the low, though. On the
low. So listen, y'all. Young World, it's a pleasure talking to my man. I love you, man. If you need some help with the tryouts, all you gotta do is give me a call and I'll come help out.
No doubt.
As always, Young World, this has been Savon's Legendary Podcast with my man, the incomparable Tony Delk. And as always, peace, Young World. Legendary Podcast. Legendary Podcast. Legendary Podcast. Legendary Podcast. You ain't ready. You ready? You ain't ready.
Ready for Savon.
You ain't ready.
Ready for Savon.
Legendary Podcast. Mama said glory got you.